Hi, this is Jumi,
And this is Catherine,
and welcome to the Rabi Law.
Business Law Show.
On the show, Catherine and Jumi discuss everyday business law questions and issues that come their way with the aim to simplify and enlighten. This is a four-part series show. Information shared on the show does not constitute legal advice.
Hi, Jimmy. How are you doing?
I'm very well, thank you, Catherine. How are you?
I'm good. You look great
Oh,
today.
oh, thank you. I love your jacket. It's
Thanks.
always good to come into your office and bug you.
Yeah.
Anyway.
Um,
Oh,
lately we've had quite a few share purchase transactions. So I thought we could talk about that.
mhm.
And we've
Yeah.
had some questions about the difference between a share purchase and an asset purchase.
hmm
So I thought maybe we could kind of go over the differences
Yeah.
and talk a little bit about what we do.
What we do, and that's good because that's people really ask that.
Yeah,
I mean, when they come, we do a lot of mergers and acquisitions, and I think it's
yeah,
our favorite. I enjoy doing it,
yes,
just because there's a process we have put in place that makes it go swiftly, and
yes,
so I just enjoy doing it.
yes,
Um, Difference between share purchase and asset purchase, like we always do on this show, we try to make it as simple as possible. A share purchase is when a share a purchaser, you can either call it a share purchase or a share sale. It depends on what angle you're coming from. But for this one, we're talking about share purchase,
mhm,
is when a purchaser purchases 100% of the shares of a corporation.
right,
Now, that's a general rule. We have exceptions where we have a purchaser purchasing 95% of the shares, or maybe 85%, a percentage. So that's partial. But most of the things we're discussing here is when a purchaser purchases 100% of the shares of the corporation.
right,
And once that is done, the corporation becomes the purchaser's corporation because
right.
it's like it's buying the assets and the liabilities, everything in the
So it's
corporation.
it's just basically a sale of and purchase of a corporation,
Exactly.
right?
The
Yeah,
sale. So
yeah,
if we're saying share sale, then it means the vendor is selling all the shares. So if I am the vendor and I own a corporation and I own 1 million shares in that corporation, so I'm selling 1 million of my shares to Catherine, if Catherine is the
yeah,
purchaser, right?
yeah,
And the moment we always choose a closing date. The closing date is when all the monies exchange hands, all the documents exchange and that's the day. That's, some people make it also the effective date. That's when that transaction
right,
becomes binding, right? So from that closing date, that corporation becomes your own,
yeah,
Catherine. It's no
right,
longer mine. So I've
right.
sold all my shares and you are the vendor,
So
and the
it
purchaser.
almost sounds similar to like a real estate transaction. You
Exactly.
have a closing date, and
Yes.
that's the day you take ownership of the house, the keys are
Yes.
exchanged,
Yeah,
everything.
absolutely.
Yeah,
Yeah, that's it. And then the difference between that and asset purchase is that for assets purchase or asset sale, you select. So you select some assets in the corporation. So in
mhm,
this case, you're not buying the whole corporation. You're buying some assets, you pick, and then you have some people buy only assets, some people buy also assets and liabilities. It
right.
depends. I don't see myself buying liabilities of a corporation, but I mean, it depends. I
I know
mean,
there's so yeah, I was reading that
for
there's some
reasons,
tax reasons
benefits to
why
it.
somebody might
hmm
purchase
The liabilities.
liabilities, uh,
Absolutely.
so they
Yeah.
can claim certain things on their
Tax
and
benefits.
get
Yes.
maybe
And again,
deductions or yeah,
yeah. And again,
yeah,
that's something you discuss with your accountants. You
yeah,
discuss with us, the lawyers, you discuss with your accountants, and then we'll see which one is better for you, right?
right,
And so that's the main difference. If we're going to put a low level in the share purchase, you buy or you sell 100, let me just say purchase. So
hmm,
you buy 100% of the shares of the corporation, and then after the closing, the corporation becomes yours.
yeah,
And then in the asset purchase, you buy the assets and liabilities or assets alone of a corporation.
right.
This one, you have a freedom of choice. So it's like you went to the market and you're
Yeah,
picking the things that you want to
yeah.
buy.
But
And
you
then you're
don't
saying,
own. You don't
exactly,
own. The owner
right.
stays the same in that situation.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay.
Right. And there's also a lot of things that go into that. right? You want so many things that it's complicated, but we simplified. So,
Yeah.
but that's the main difference between the two.
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay. So I've heard before some people saying, well, I'm just buying the business from my uncle or my best
My
friend.
friend.
Do we really need lawyers involved? Do we really need to go through a share purchase agreement and all that stuff? And I always tell people that doesn't matter what your relationship is with the person that you're purchasing these shares from, this company from.
Yeah.
You both need to make sure that you are protected
Correct.
by the law, and that anything can happen in relationships down the road. And so I feel those things should be kept separate.
Yes.
The relationship and
the
your
business
transaction.
Yeah. I believe so too.
Think about that? Yeah.
I believe so too, especially when it comes to what we're discussing. You want to be very careful. Like when we do it, the first thing we do is due diligence. I mean, we know this person is your friend or even a family member, and you've been doing business together since when you were young. You used to buy candy together and sell together, and then you graduated to doing, but now you're getting more sophisticated. When you start talking about buying a business, to me, that's a higher level of sophistication, and it's important that you do your due diligence. Is this corporation even in existence, right? So that's the first thing we do. We go search. We pull up the corporate profile report. Is this corporation, who are the directors, who are the officers, who are the shareholders, right? We go do PPSA search. Are there any liens, encumbrances against this corporation? Is this corporation, we do bankruptcy, we do bank acts, we do all these searches called due diligence and more. Why? To know that this corporation is in good standing and that everything that this corporation has presented to us, that's exactly what they are.
So basically, right? Saying we shouldn't just take somebody's word for it.
Exactly. Exactly. Don't just say, oh, this my friend and my brother has promised me that this corporation does not have any no loan, no nothing. It's fine. And so we just talk and then right. We do the due diligence search. That's always the first thing we do. And then we start preparing the share purchase agreement. And the things we put in it it's almost like contracts, right? In a contract, you're saying, I'm going to do this and you will do this, right? The two of you are making, and these are basically that's what a share purchase agreement is about.
Right.
We put in reps and warranties, right? What is the present situation? Is there any litigation? Are there, we put everything there. We put covenants where the vendor, the person or the seller, you can call it vendor or seller, is saying, this is the situation of this corporation. I'm promising you that this is it. You're not going to meet some funny things apart from the things that I've put in this share purchase agreement. So we put all that. We also put the conditions. Probably there's a condition of financing that if they don't get, and we're going to talk about financing because that's also a corporate financing is a big deal to us, right? These are the conditions. If you don't do this, this transaction will not close. We put all that in, but most importantly, we put things that will protect you as this might sound very, very elementary or sound very, very basic, but we put the purchase price. Do you know we've had situations where people do oral agreements, but they never agreed on the purchase price of the business. And then down the line, they're fighting over it, right?
Yeah.
And then we also put dispute resolution. Are you what's the plan? Do you want to go to court or do you want mediation? Do you want arbitration? What do you want? We put it in there so that if there's something, if there are disagreements down the line, you come back to the share purchase agreements and say, this is what we agreed, right?
Yeah, exactly.
Right?
Exactly.
And then we go to the closing documents.
Yeah. So once the share purchase agreement is signed, Within the share purchase agreement, we usually have a listing of the documents that will be exchanged
On the
upon
closing day.
closing. So there's
Correct.
certain documents that the purchasers will have to provide to the vendor, and
Yeah.
certain documents that the vendor and the corporation will have to provide to the purchaser.
Yeah.
And we create a closing agenda from that section of the share purchase
Share purchase
agreement.
agreement. Yeah.
And that will list in a nice organized format
Yeah.
all the documents that are to be exchanged on the closing
On the
day.
closing day. And that way we don't mix things up.
Right.
There's no oversight, like, oh, we missed out the resolution approving this transaction.
Yeah.
No, it's already in the closing agenda. Or we
Yeah.
missed out the void check. How is the payment going to, and then we're running around. No,
Yeah.
it's already in the closing agenda.
Yeah.
So it's just organized that way to make sure that the transaction, whether it's an asset purchase or the share purchase, flows swiftly,
Yeah.
right, on the closing day.
Yeah, on closing day, you don't want to be scrambling for things. You want
Correct.
everything to run smoothly,
Yeah,
the money to exchange hands,
right.
everybody's happy in the end,
Yes.
Mhm. So it is important to not just, to me, that makes it important to have professionals doing this work for you, because
Correct.
it's overwhelming, not for us,
And complicated.
it can be complicated and overwhelming when
Right.
people try to do these things themselves and
Right.
may not protect yourself fully.
Correct.
We know the things to look out for
Exactly.
and what to put in the share purchase agreement to make sure that our clients are protected.
Right. And mentioning professionals, I remember accountants, right? We're doing legal due diligence. We're also doing financial due diligence.
Yeah.
You're checking, are these people, as this corporation be paying tax, right? What do they have? What do they have with the CRA?
Yeah.
Right. So we work together with our accountants to make sure that the legal due diligence and the financial due diligence are all well taken care of.
You don't want to purchase a corporation that's going to be dissolved in 6 months because they haven't paid taxes.
Yeah.
Their corporate taxes for the last 5 years.
Right. Absolutely.
So,
yeah. You don't want to also purchase a corporation that upon purchase you just find creditors coming in right, left, and center chasing you and be like, why did we buy this corporation? So that's where professionals come in.
Yeah.
But I think that's the long and short of a share. But if we're going to simplify it on this show, it's that's it. You buy 100% the shares of a corporation, or partial if that's the way you want to go. And then the corporation becomes yours upon that share purchase, upon you buying that share, those shares. And if it's an assets, then you're picking the assets and the liabilities of the corporation, and you say that's what you want to buy. That's what your limit. The corporation does not change. The owners of the corporation does not change.
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, absolutely.
Exactly.
I think that's another good one.
Yeah, that's great. That's been so informative.
Yeah, same
here.
All right.
All right.
Okay. I'll hop in to say hello to you later in the day.
Okay, that's
all right.
Jamie, thank you so much.
Thank you. All right, bye.